The truck groaned as I pulled into the driveway, coughing like it shared my exhaustion. Another day of soul-crushing labor at the plant had drained whatever scraps of energy I had left. I turned off the ignition, resting my forehead against the steering wheel, letting out a sigh that carried the weight of countless days just like this one. Then I saw her, Emily, my daughter, 7 years old, full of life, and the mirror image of her mother in better days. She stood in the driveway, her favorite blue dress rippling in the breeze, her pigtails bouncing with the same defiance as her grin. That toothless smile could usually light up my darkest moments. But tonight, it chilled me to the bone. "Hey, pumpkin!" I called out, forcing cheer into my voice. "What are you doing out here? It's getting late." She didn't answer. She just stood there, her arms clasped behind her back like she was hiding something. Her smile stretched unnaturally wide, frozen in place. I took a step closer, my boots crunching on the gravel. That's when I saw it. Her legs were gone, not bent or obscured, gone. Her body ended abruptly at the waist, hovering impossibly above the ground. No blood, no pain, just an eerie calm. My heart seized, and the breath I tried to take felt jagged in my throat. "Emily," I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. "Are you okay?" Her head tilted, that uncanny smile never faltering. "Of course, Daddy," she said sweetly. "I waited for you." My legs felt rooted to the ground. The world tilted, my grip on reality slipping. "Where's your mom?" I managed to croak. She giggled, a sound so innocent it made the scene even more grotesque. Inside, something primal in me stirred. I stumbled backward, turning my gaze toward the house. The porch light flickered weakly, casting the front door in shifting shadows. Every fiber of my being screamed for me to grab Emily and run, but my feet betrayed me. I moved toward the door instead. The air inside was suffocating, heavy with the metallic tang of blood. The smell hit me like a slap, sharp and unforgiving. I stepped into the darkness, my boots sticking to something wet and slick on the floor. I didn't want to look down, but I couldn't stop myself. The floor was streaked with red. "Lisa?" My voice trembled, breaking against the silence. The living room was a nightmare. Blood painted the walls in chaotic arcs, the furniture upturned and broken. The television hissed static, a jagged crack splintering its screen. And on the couch, oh God, on the couch was Lisa, or what was left of her. Her torso lay sprawled unnaturally, arms bent at grotesque angles. Her legs were missing, just like Emily's. My stomach churned, bile rising as I stumbled back into the doorway. A soft giggle echoed behind me. I spun around, my breath hitching as Emily hovered there, her dress spotless despite the carnage. Her hands, however, were stained crimson. "I told you I waited for you," she said, her voice dripping with something darker, something ancient. "What did you do?" I demanded, my voice shaking as I backed away. Her head tilted again, her expression shifting for the first time. The smile faltered, then returned, sharper, crueler. "It's not what I did, Daddy," she said, her voice almost playful. "It's what we did." The shadows in the room twisted unnaturally, stretching toward me like living things. My knees buckled as I stumbled to the floor, my vision blurring with terror. "You're not my daughter," I rasped, barely able to speak. "What are you?" She leaned closer, her eyes glowing faintly, her voice dripping with mockery. "I'm your little girl," she whispered, her grin spreading wider than any human face should allow. "Don't you love me?" The darkness surged, swallowing the room as her laughter pierced the air, a sound high and inhuman, a cacophony of madness. The last thing I saw was her smile, a gaping maw of endless teeth. I woke in a hospital bed days later, the sterile white walls a stark contrast to the horrors still clawing at my mind. They told me there was no Emily, no Lisa, just an abandoned house, a blood-soaked floor, and a man who had lost his grip on reality. They called it a breakdown, stress-induced hallucinations from years of overwork and grief. But even now, as I lie awake in the dead of night, I hear her laughter echoing in the corners of my mind. She's waiting for me, still smiling, still hungry,